In today's video, I'm going to show you a 1-1-3 half-court zone defense that you could run with your team. Now, what makes this one so deadly is it covers the high post, which is one of the easiest ways to beat a traditional zone defense. So let's get down, let's check this out. This is actually a zone that I run with my teams. So first off, you've got player 1 who covers the top, you've got player 2 who covers the high post, and then you've got these 3 players who play like a traditional 2-3 style zone, but they're the 3 guys in the bottom. And basically how I like to run this is, let's say we've got, for example, you have a 5-out team running a 5-out. This top guy would be covering that ball because he's going to be covering pretty much everybody in this zone here, and then player 2 is going to be either covering the point or the high post depending on where players are, just like a 2-3 zone. However, the difference is going to be if they swing that ball around, player 2 will then cover the top and player 1 will then cover that high post. The idea here is, let's say the other team runs a 4-out, which is one of the easiest options to have when you're playing against a zone defense. If the other team is running a 4-out, player 2 in this case would be covering player 4, and player 1 would be trying to either front face or cover the back or something of player 5. Personally, I like the front face because then if they swing the ball, player 1 can then go cover and player 2 can come in and front face player 5. And that is going to be the most important fact here, or most important point, is the fact that we really want to cover that high post. And we're going to be always having that post covered because player 2 is going to pop, player 1 would then in this case fill in front, and if they try to pass here to pass into the high post quickly, player 1 should already have the momentum here to be able to pick off that pass. If they run and they're able to get that ball into the high post, in this case player 1 would stay with player 5. If players 4 or 1 are both cut to the basket, we should be having these guys cut off their drives or cut off their cuts. Players 3 and 2 would most likely go to the high post, in which case player 2 needs to make a decision as to which side he's going to cover. If he covers this side and they pass out to player 3 as an example, then player 1 needs to cover player 3 and player 2 needs to go and cover that high post once again. This is a very important aspect of this zone. Really quickly, make sure to go check out my unbeatable basketball zone defense down below that will cover the low post as a double team and trap the corners without leaving any players open. Now, if they get the ball into the corner, player 3 would then be covering the corner. Player 1 would stay out here. He's going to try and intercept those passes. And now again, it's going to look very similar to a 2-3 style zone. If, let's say, they put a player into the low post, at this time, we would then still have player 5 being able to guard him in single coverage. If they pass the ball into player 5, personally, I like to have player 3 come in and try to double team that low post. But again, in a zone defense, the whole idea is to disallow any baskets made or even taken inside the key and to force the other team to shoot more threes. This is why zones are generally more deadly against younger basketball teams, because younger basketball teams generally can't shoot all that well. And because of that, we can then be able to cut off that post. And to do that is to double team that low post no matter what, whether you're playing a 3-2 zone, my unbeatable zone defense down below, or even a regular 2-3 or a 1-3-1 zone or whatever it may be. You really want to make sure that nobody scores in the paint. And that's the idea behind the 1-1-3, which is to cover the high post so that there's no high to low post passes. So let's say they set up in a 3-out, 2-in offense. Usually how this is started with an overload is to have player 3 pass to player 1, which would then have player 2 pop out, player 1 to move down to cover that high post. Player 4 would then move up and player 3 would then go out towards that corner, and now we've got essentially an overload or a super overload offense. Now, you've got everyone still covered, and player 4 can move up and kind of cut off any cross-court passes. So this zone defense, even though it's in single coverage, can still cover an overload just fine. And that's the other reason why I really like this 1-1-3 zone defense. And with player 1 front facing the high post, it's going to be really hard to get passes in to player 4. So make sure to go check out my Unbeatable Basketball Zone Defense, which is down in the description below. It basically doubles the low post and traps the corners, and it's single coverage from the free throw line extended and up. So if you're playing against a lot of bigger teams, that zone could definitely help. I hope that this video has helped you. If it has, hit that like button and subscribe, and I'll see you guys again next time.